Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inside Talk Show. I'm Carla Elizondo, and today I'll be chatting with my friend, Freddy Giorlando. Freddy is an actor and producer who just finished co-producing a new documentary called Content is King, so keep an eye out for that. And he's launching a new social media service called Creatives Engagement Group. But most importantly, he has really good taste when it comes to books. So Freddy and I are going to chat about our favorite books and how they help us. So please help me welcome my friend, Freddy Giorlando. Well, thank you, Freddy. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here finally and chat with you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. We just recently met through a mutual friend, Jeremy Luke.
Yeah, shout out Jeremy Luke.
Shout out to Jeremy. He's the Mr. Bridge. He connects everybody, the power connector.
Yes.
And we had one of the most pleasantly surprising Zoom chats that went on for like an hour. It was supposed to be just kind of a meet and greet, but we found out that we are book soulmates.
Yes, we are. And I'm just as grateful for that as you are.
Yes, we found out that we were book soulmates and that we read similar books. So we came here today to share the books that shaped us, that formed us, and to just nerd out over our favorite books. So what stack of books did you bring today?
100%. And I'm very excited about this. So I woke up and I gathered my books that really helped shape me during this journey and inspired me. So honorable mentions, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I don't have that right now, but we'll get into that. And Cybernetics, which is pound for pound my favorite book. You got it right there, by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And I gave that to Jeremy Luke last month, so he's got it. But this right here, we got some Neville Goddard, the complete collection, which you have.
Mm-hmm. I have a different version, but yes.
Let's go. We got The Master Key System by Charles Hannell, which actually got me into meditation.
Nice.
We got Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, OG classic book.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, which is probably the first novel I ever read in my life because I used Cliff Notes throughout school.
Right.
Wasn't much of a reader, but that's okay.
Right. I agree. I gave away my Alchemist to somebody, and it's like books are like CDs. Like back in the 90s, you never get them back, so you might as well just say goodbye to them forever.
Spread the love.
Spread the love. Also, for me, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
I heard about that one.
Classic. It's short. It's only like 25. Oh my God, it's my favorite book. 25 pages. You Squared.
My buddy was telling me about that. Yes.
Price Pritchett, You Squared. We got the Neville Goddard. And then the last one that I'll share today, this is very dense. So this is dense AF. So this is Thomas Troward. So it's like the complete, well, I don't know if it's absolutely complete, but it's 6 classic books. It's heavy duty. So anyways, that is our kind of setup for this. So Freddy, tell me a little bit about how you kind of got into personal development. What was the impetus?
So it was around the time I started acting, as well as having my son. I had my son at 19, and I around that time decided to go into acting. Like a couple years after he was born, I started getting jobs just to make money because that's what everyone told me to do. You got to get a job, make money, that's what you got to do. Yeah. But then you also got to be happy, in my opinion.
Of course.
So I just got a job and I wasn't happy. So at that time, I told myself, you know what? I'm going to get into acting because I always loved performing for people. I did plays in middle school, did play in high school. I was a class clown also, I love the attention. And I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to dedicate my life to something, I want to be able to tell my son, 10 years down the line when he's grown up, 15, 20 years, and be a living example of you could do anything that you want in this life and be happy. So I had to lead by example. So I got into acting. Now, when I first got into acting, it was an experience to say the least, because it was my first time really getting up in front of people in class when I went to class, being observed. Like I did plays in middle school, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to get up there and I didn't even know what was going on around me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Life didn't hit me. I wasn't filled with insecurities in middle school. I was playing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So in my early 20s, when I started acting, I had my son. I was filled with insecurities. I was at a reactive state to everything around me. And I didn't know that I had a choice to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know I had a decision to be literally making decisions on a daily basis and being aware of your thoughts and how they're influencing your emotions and your state of being and how you're carrying yourself. I wasn't aware of all that because growing up, I was always told that, whatever happened to you, it was what it was.
Right.
Like, it is what it is, Fred. It is what it is. That's life. Life's hard. It is what it is. You just gotta roll with it. You just gotta deal with it.
Yeah. You're a victim to circumstance.
I was a product of my environment. When I first started acting, I started to develop symptoms of anxiety big time because I was dealing with, being a young father, taking on responsibility, going into this acting career, which I had no idea what it entailed when I first started. And it was, I was definitely scared for sure of, I hope I'm doing the right thing in life. But then I also was like, listen, this is all I know that I'm going to be happy doing. So I'm going to do it anyways, and I'll figure it out. But to answer your question, when I first started going to class, I would say the first year or two, anxiety symptoms would come up to where it got really bad to where I was experiencing panic attacks. I was experiencing heart palpitations for months on end consistently.
Wow.
I got hospitalized for anxiety multiple times because when I first started experiencing the symptoms, I had no idea what it was because
Right.
I never experienced it before. In middle school, never experienced it. High school, not really. Once I had my son, once I got into acting, all these symptoms started happening. And I remember taking Advil to I thought, I didn't know what was going on, but I remember I would get inflamed, my body would get inflamed. I'd get tingly, numb, I'd get stiff, heavy anxiety, tremendously. So I would take Advil and I would kind of mellow out the symptoms. But then I realized I can't keep taking Advil almost every day. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember this really dark period in my life emotionally before I got into spirituality and self-help, to where, like I said, those months I had the heart palpitations, I didn't want to go outside. I was literally in my house with my parents for a month or two, and I was just dealing with this shit, and it sucked. Can I curse on here?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. So I remember going to the hospital and they gave me medication for anxiety. And I remember I was on that for 2 weeks. And I told myself there was something in me because I was going to class at the time as well and performing, dealing with anxiety, having panic attacks and scenes. And there was something inside of me after that visit to the hospital where the doctor literally thought I was on cocaine or some type of drugs because my heart rate was completely through the roof. So he was like, "Are you on any substances, son?" And I'm like, "No, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on." He's like, "Yeah, you got high anxiety, very severe. You have any stress in your life?" "Yeah, well, I have a kid, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, and I just got into acting and
Just the huge.
yeah." And he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, well, all right, that could cause a little bit of this." So he prescribed me, and I remember a week or two into that, I remember going to class, doing the work, and I remember just something inside of me, and I was very depressed at this time. I was depressed. I was very sad. I didn't feel joy in like months at that time. And I remember telling myself there was something inside of me saying, listen, you're not gonna rely on this medication for the rest of your life. You got to figure out what's going on. Now, I'm not against any type of medication at all. It's whatever works for the individual.
Yeah.
100%. Therapy, anything that works for the individual, I'm all for. That's what I'm all for. For me, there was something inside of me saying, hey, you got to figure this out. You can't rely on this because you got to go up and perform. You can't rely on a medication to take before you go on stage or anything like that. So it was kind of like, I got to figure this out, Fred. So I Googled self-help, self-help book, anxiety, dealing with anxiety. And The Secret popped up.
Really?
The Secret popped up by Rhonda Byrne. Now, as I mentioned to you before in a previous conversation, I never read a book in my life. Never really read a book. In school, I read one book, The Outsiders by S.C. Hinton. Great book. Pony Boy, Johnny, it was great. The Greasers. Other than that, not really. Use Cliff Notes for every book. So I Googled and I saw The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I remember purchasing that book because I wanted to figure out what was going on with me. This anxiety. I gotta be able to manage it somehow. There's got to be some way. And I don't want to be depressed anymore. This sucks, man. Like I really was in a really bad place, you know. And I read Rhonda Byrne, The Secret, and literally changed my life. The first chapter, like literally, that got me on the journey from one books to being excited to share a stack of books. You know. Yeah. So I read that book and I remember it saying, and just to round this out, I remember it saying you were in control of your thoughts, your emotions, and it can influence how you're living. I remember it saying that within the first chapter, like you are in control of your thoughts and emotions. This is something I never read or heard in my life before, like really. So when I read that, I remember reading that, and there was a light of loving energy when I read that. There was literally
recognition, and like it's a remembering.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. I read that and I was like, this is true. I got chills. I was like, this is true. This is it. And you know what? I told myself, if this isn't it, this is kind of, you know, at first I read it, it was kind of foreign to me and I was kind of questioning, well, this seems kind of, you could create your reality and all that stuff. My mind was saying, it's kind of kooky because you never heard of it. But my spirit was saying, this sounds familiar. And also I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this out because nothing's working. Let's give it a go and read this book. And that changed my life forever. So that's what started me down the path to just self-help and improving myself on a daily basis.
Oh, that's so great. And I know she just came out with a book at the end of last year, The Greatest Secret. Have you heard of it?
No.
It is one of the best works. I'm listening to the audiobook. The physical book is on the way. And a couple of my friends have it. It's so rich. Like I can only listen to 5 minutes at a time and then I have to like digest it. I have to digest it. It's pretty much just a compilation of the past 10 years of her own kind of journey of the past since The Secret came out in her life and, you know, just her personal trials and her studying herself. And I would say the same for me. I've shared with you my story. Like, it was kind of 2006. I was down a, bad road. I ended up getting a DUI. In my DUI class, they showed us The Secret. I'm like, that's how I found it out.
That's it.
But just like you, I knew it was the truth. When you hear the truth, you know it. Without a shadow of a doubt. It might seem like crazy. People might not believe you, but when you hear the truth, you know it. I had already been doing that stuff. I kind of manifested and attracted to me everything I ever really wanted because I used that focused will. And I used to daydream and just like play those videos in my head every day until it was like, I get whatever I want, not like in a arrogant way, but like, this is what I want. I'm going to get it. And if it's a desire I have, I believe that God gave it to me and I'm worthy of it. So, and it wasn't until I got older that you start questioning, you get insecure and people are in your ear and everybody's outside voices. But yeah, just a side note, The Greatest Secret, if you guys haven't checked it out, it is so good. But yes, also something that you and I talked about was Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. If you guys haven't read it, this is kind of like the bougie special edition version, but the original version, there's many different like paperback covers. Kind of the classic one is red and white. So on Amazon, it's like $10. It's like not even expensive.
Listen,
And so
it's a great sound investment you can make.
it really is, or the audiobook. But basically it was a surgeon who was understanding that there was deep psychological ties to people who had plastic or cosmetic surgery, whether it be, an insecurity they had, or like, a blemish that they were born with, like, someone had a mole or kind of like a mark on their face, or, just to do that surgery. And some people, after weeks of healing, they would be totally, changed. All of their insecurities that this, blemish once created in their lives was completely disappeared. But then there was those other people, like somebody who had a nose job. They always thought themselves as an ugly duckling. But even when the blemish was fixed, they still, in their mind, in their psyche, were so tied to the image of them being less than ugly duckling, thinking that they're ugly, even though the physical thing was gone. So he just kind of studied the whole thing of our image of ourself is in our mind.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
How did you find him? Just through your journeys, or?
Yeah, just through my journeys. I think I was just like researching similar books, and there might have been like, I might have been watching a YouTube clip. I watch a ton of YouTube clips on, self-help, positivity, motivation, all that good stuff. And there was just this ad, I think, of this guy explaining what psycho-cybernetics is. I think I saw it maybe a couple of times. And this was years ago. And I bought the book around that time, but it took me maybe a couple years to read it. It was on my shelf for a little bit. Then I finally got to it and I read it, and it came and it always comes at divine time, right? I feel like everything, it sounds cliche. I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe in divine timing and synchronicity, and, you're supposed to meet these people. But like in Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist,
so good.
He says, when you have I don't know verbatim, but when you have a dream, the universe helps you.
It conspires in every way to make it happen. Yeah,
to make it happen. So, yeah, I found that book just through, doing some research. And then I read that book, and it's like you said, the image that we have of ourselves in our mind literally creates, I feel like, who we are, but also the world we step into on a daily basis, the reality we live, from moment to moment. I really do believe that. And I just, just my opinion, I've seen it work in my life. Like, I started getting into self-help meditation a little over a decade ago. No, I lied, like 9 years ago. I'm almost at a decade. I'm almost that cool. But as I kind of carried on in my journey, I would observe myself. The more I would research and grow understanding and gain more awareness of myself, and be observant of my thoughts and emotions, then I would start observing my, these past few years, observing my impulses and my urges, and look at the shadow side of myself that they call, like really digging deep to like, all right, where's your insecurities, Fred? What are you insecure about? Why are you anxious about this? What are your small minded beliefs that you have that are tethered into probably something in the past that might have been conditioned, that might have been conditioned into you, probably was conditioned into you? doing the work, journaling, and kind of like extracting.
Yes, you put that searchlight on your head and you go down in the caves into yourself. Like, an unexamined life isn't worth living. That's what I say on my show, The Citadel. Check it out on YouTube and on my Facebook group. But it's like, know thyself, and you shall know the universe and all the gods. Socrates said it. All the philosophers, every theologian, philosopher, psychologist says it. It says all the same thing. Know thyself, know yourself, and you will be fine.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, the cybernetics part, I actually first learned a few years ago when I was in grad school and we were studying family systems, like just family therapy, and how every system, like a system of a family, but mostly it was first discovered, I think, during the Second World War, like the cybernetic systems when they had like heat-seeking missiles, or the cybernetic systems in machinery usually, but it can be applied to us in our brains. That when a plane flies from San Francisco to New York, the cybernetic system keeps it on track. So it inputs in a computer. It's like the GPS. Like, we are going to arrive in New York. So the plane takes off and it hits turbulence. So it gets thrown off track, but the cybernetic system brings it back. So what is it? Like they say a rocket ship is 98% off course. It's off course 98% of the time, but through the cybernetic system keeps correcting it. It's like the autocorrect always. So that cybernetic system keeps it going to that destination. It's like a baseline. So we see it a lot in kids. If they have like abusive homes or a lot of, verbal abuse, when they get older, they have a high baseline. So for example, I'm working with a client who had, a lot of physical, actually, it's not her, it's a family member, but a lot of physical abuse. So that's all she knows. If you're not at an 8, if you're not hitting her, that's not love, because that's how she understands love. That's the environment and programming she was programmed with. So if you aren't yelling and pushing and shoving, you don't love me.
Yeah.
And it's that cybernetic system.
Yeah, and I want to get back to what you're saying as far as, the missile. Once you know where you're headed, you kind of just drive through it. And that's what this book taught me. Well, I don't have it with me, but that's what the book taught me. It really taught me what Dr. Maxwell Maltz calls the automatic success mechanism, the automatic success mechanism. And when you have your mind on your target, because we're talking missiles, when you have your mind of where you want to head in your life, your goals, or where you see yourself in your life, and you focus on that and you really direct your attention and keep yourself at a high vibrational frequency and open space to receive, as long as you keep that focus on the target, you're going to hit the bullseye eventually.
Right.
And you might go like the missiles, you might go this way, you might make a little wrong turn, you might make that. But as long as you, and I do believe this, as long as you move with good intention in your being and you have that focus on your goal or where you see yourself in your life, how you want to be perceived, and you really stay true to that focus, intention, desire, eventually you'll get there.
Right. And turbulence is life. Life happens. Turbulence, maybe a flat tire, maybe a family drama, maybe somebody passes away, maybe an unexpected thing. Like, that's the turbulence. But if you stick to your plan and use that higher faculty of will, keeping that one image on the screen of your mind. And it talks about how we think in images. And Bob Proctor, who's my greatest teacher, we think in images, and kind of, you already touched on it. A lot of people, when they think about the mind, they think about the brain, but the brain is not the mind. It's an energy. It's an energy. It's everywhere. It's omnipresent. Our mind is everywhere. My mind can be in Spain. My mind can be at the bottom of the ocean. My mind can be anywhere. My mind is all of every molecule of my being. So we can use our mind to harness things. And so he uses this, he got it from I think a chiropractor who kind of came up with this image back in the 30s of the mind. So it's kind of it looks silly, but it's a way that we can conceptualize the mind and have a picture of it. Because if we don't have a picture to work with, it's kind of hard to understand it. So I always draw it everywhere. So I use this with my clients. This is the mind, the top of your head. You have the conscious part and then the
Subconscious.
subconscious part. So this is the thinking mind, this is the feeling mind. In our subconscious is where, and that's where, you know, philosophy was started. Like, not philosophy, I'm sorry, psychology. I remember psyche. The Greeks call it like the study of the soul, the study of the spirit. And in your subconscious mind, in your psyche, that's where, when you're emotionally involved in something, that's where you get the results. If your heart's not in it, if you're not feeling it, it's not going to happen. We can think all day long. We could read all these books, but we cannot apply it, right?
Yeah, feeling is the secret.
Feeling is a secret.
Which could be a good segue into Neville Goddard.
Yes. I love it. Oh.
What do you got?
What's your favorite, or what stands out to you?
The books?
Yeah, the Neville Goddard. Yeah, which one?
I think we both agreed on The Power of Awareness.
Yes, The Power of Awareness. Right now, I am a part of Bob Proctor's masterclass. Every Tuesday, I'm there for 2 hours, and we are studying The Effortless Way. I think it's like chapter 14 or the 14th, and it's called The Effortless Way. Mm-hmm. I'll just read a little tidbit. It says, the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. So the less amount of energy and the less amount of time, that is the principle of least action. Therefore, in moving from your present state, from where I am now, to the state that I desire, I must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time, meaning your journey from one state of consciousness, so where I'm at now in my consciousness, to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent of is mere assumption. So this talks about the law of assumption, assuming, expecting that everything you want is already here. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, assuming, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. So attention, always having it in your mind, minus effort, sitting back and allowing it, kind of like you mentioned. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort, because creation is finished. What you desire already exists. Like, creation is finished. When the Big Bang or whatever, you know, how everything came to be, I always say Jesus could have had an iPhone. Everything that is in this phone has been here since the beginning of time. The awareness to create this was not here. But it's like, so anything you want is already here. Mm-hmm. You just have to make it happen.
Yeah. Everything that we want that exists is already within us.
Yeah.
We just got to come into realization of that. And I think it's Psycho-Cybernetics where it talks about the great storehouse of the mind, which is the unconscious, which everything resides in there. Mm-hmm. And creating your life from that. But yeah, everything that we want to manifest, everything that's in existence already, and some that we don't see, exists in our being, and it's up to us to create it and manifest it.
Right.
Because we are a part of the creator. We are creators. Mm-hmm. And it's our job and our purpose here, I believe, to create.
Yeah. And what can be hard about this journey, and I'll ask you this, it's been 2006. So what is that? 15 years. Has it been 15 years? Woof. 15 years. And I have always, like I said, I know it's true, but because of outside voices, people say, oh, that's bull crap and blah, blah, blah. If you want to make anybody foam at the mouth or anybody really pissed, tell them that they're responsible for their lives and that they can create anything they want. Because the automatic, when you're in a bad place, that's the last thing you want to hear. Because it's like, oh, hell no. Like, so there's a resistance to this. Excuse me. There's a resistance to this kind of stuff. I want to ask you, how do you get over that? Because I definitely fight it. I'm definitely like, okay, am I responsible for all of this? Like, how do I co-create? Is this all up to me? Am I not allowed to think negative thoughts? How do you get over that?
It's It's a really great question. Honestly, doing the work every day, and easier said than done, right? Because it's not easy. It can get, I feel like you could get into a rhythm and do it, but it's work, man. It's responsibility. And I think it's um there's times, yeah, of course I have my moments of doubt and fear and anxiety and everything that is human, all the emotions I experience because I'm human. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with any of that,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, fear, doubt, all that stuff. And it's a part of life in general, just being a human being. I just think that when it becomes, you take a Libra scale, if the fear outweighs the faith, then you got to kind of just check yourself and put the work in to make it go the other way. The way I handle it is really because of conditioning. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
being told your whole life it's going, it's supposed to be this way, and really experiencing it on one end, and then stepping into spirituality and self development for me and later in life, it's literally you're deconditioning your conditioning from your whole life, from even taking it way back,
Yeah.
which ain't easy. Does a lot of digging. It takes a lot of digging,
Unlearning and learning again.
Yeah, and even in or as a toddler, or if you have people have trauma at a young age, they carry that into their adult lives, or in high school, or in my 20s. I still make mistakes, but I was not as aware of the effects of the cause. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
aware of my decisions I was making on a daily basis that would be the result, a week or two or whatever down the line. Now I'm definitely more aware and conscious of that. Like you said before, effortless, right? The effortless way. I struggle and I could get obsessive with my focus and goals.
Yeah.
That's something that I gotta constantly check myself with, because then I'll stress myself out.
Right.
So like, if I got 3 things on my plate, I might jump into a hole of constantly focusing on this and visualize and seeing it, but constantly doing that, but I forget to live and breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's no bueno,
Right.
that's an imbalance.
Yeah.
So what helps me get over it is every day I journal. Well, not every day. I'm not going to say I journal a good amount. I just started journaling this past quarantine pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That's really helped me. But meditation, I would definitely say meditation. I've been meditating now since I read that book, The Secret. So almost 10 years consistently.
Do you do guided, or do you just do quiet, or what do you do?
It's like a hyphenate. I'll do a quiet, and then I'll do some prayer.
Yeah.
Or affirmations. So I'll do a little bit of both. And then at night, I'll do quiet, relax with maybe some visualization.
Yeah.
And then I'll switch it up a little bit. I'll see kind of what I need at the moment. But meditation is something that I do on a daily basis, that I've done consistently for almost a decade. And that really helps a lot. So just really continuing to read books, continue to feed myself good medicine, good food for thought,
It's
watching.
Discipline,
Self-discipline.
Discipline and consistency.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, if you stay disciplined to knowing yourself, to the self-examination, even if you have to start 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, just be disciplined to that and watch your life change. And you touched on a big thing. This is my other second slide of my little pictures. But this is what you talked about. From ages, 0 to 8, we haven't even built that top subconscious filter. We're just wide open. So this is our parents, school, TV, anything coming in, getting into that foundation.
The sponge
Time, that is where the cement is laid. And it's no one's fault. Our parents had they're just doing their best.
Of course. We love our parents,
and everybody has struggles, but you don't know until you get older, when you start getting results you don't want. That's when it's time to take responsibility, even if it wasn't your fault. You are an adult now. You cannot change the past, but by understanding or just shifting And I have a really easy thing to do that. If you have any habit or thought pattern you don't like, write it down. Then take a fresh piece of paper, write the polar opposite, burn the old one. Make those new ones affirmations, or just have them in your eyes sight, eye line of vision throughout the day. And just, it's through repetition. The quote, I think it's repetition is the, digging up of the soil to replant into the subconscious mind. I'm totally botching it, but
yeah, building habits.
yes, it's
Building good habits.
Oh, good habits. I love
good habits.
I think it's Robert Russell who says, habit is God's way of making good automatic. I love that.
That's major key.
Because we're on autopilot 98% of the day. We're on autopilot. So what habits you not even have to think about? Like, you don't have to worry about it.
And I want to implement that on and leave the audience with something with, yes, meditation. Implementing meditation just to have 5 to 10 minutes to yourself in the morning, to just be with yourself, wake up a little bit, breathe, get ready for the day mentally, and just go in a state of control.
Mm-hmm.
Not like obsessive control, but like, okay, I'm going to be conscious and aware. Okay, I'm done with my meditation. I'm going to go brush my teeth.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get ready for work.
Yeah. You have to be that motivator. Nothing's going to come and motivate you.
Yeah.
Like,
instead of being at reaction, though, also, you don't want to be at reaction. So instead of waking up when the alarm clock's going,
Mm-hmm.
and then Maxwell Maltz talks about this in Cybernetics, like that Pavlovian response to, like, you hear your phone ring, you immediately go. You're not conscious about it. You just immediately react to it.
Yep.
So meditation in the morning can help you be in control and not be at a reactive state to everything coming about.
Yeah, it's just a game changer. So if anybody just wonders where to get started.
For game changers to get started into self-help?
Yeah.
Dr. Maxwell Maltz, I feel like if someone is a little bit hesitant to get into spirituality and terms and talk of that,
Mm-hmm.
he breaks it down with more of like the science of self-improvement, the science of success, excuse me. He gives tools that you can implement throughout your daily life to improve your life and do better. But a great analogy that he really gives is when you are focused on something you want to attain, your goal, where you see yourself in the future, and you have to have your focus and attention there and be direct. You have to actively be doing the work to get there. Yeah. So you have to have your focus on it, but you have to actively be feeling yourself, in the place you want, but taking the actions that align with getting you there and moving you forward. You have to make consistent choices on a daily basis that aligns with your purpose and the goal you want to achieve. And a great analogy he gives for that is when you're riding a bike and you're looking to get to your destination ahead, what happens when you stop pedaling? You fall off.
Right.
So it's like
a shark dies if it stops moving.
Yeah, exactly. So like little analogies like that. And another thing he really gave about these two different football coaches, which I really loved about this. So for the bicycle analogy, you got to keep pedaling. You got to keep moving forward to your goal. You got to keep seeing it. You got to keep, making consistent choices on a daily basis. And the football coach analogy, which I really love, this is after you attain your goal. So maybe say someone in the audience right here, they've attained something that they wanted for a while, or they just got that promotion at their job and they've been wanting it for a while, but now entails some more workload, and you might feel, the pressure and, it all coming down you, and you're like, oh, well, what am I going to do now at this position? You reimagine or you visualize yourself killing that job and where you want to go in that position. Mm-hmm. And I've been, just from observation in the past, once I would attain something and I would get there, I would kind of like, oh shit, I'm here now. What am I going to do? Because there's a lot of stuff coming at me. I'm next level. Am I ready for this? The answer is yes, you are. Woo! And a good analogy that he gives is the football coaches. One coach wanted to make it into the NFL from college. The other coach, same thing, wanted to make it into the NFL for college. They wanted to teach at a high level. They wanted to coach at a high level. Uh-huh. One coach, they both ended up in the NFL. The difference between both of them was one of them got sent back down because he wasn't ready. One coach ended up winning a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference in that is the mindset and where the mind goes once you achieve what you want. So when they both achieved their NFL goals, one coach got consumed in the pressure of what was going on in the circumstances, the new environment around him. And he got caught up in his mind using that space to, he was at a reactive state and a lot of things were coming at him. He didn't take the time like the other coach did to sit in the accomplishment of the goal. Mm-hmm. I'm in the NFL, I'm coaching at this level. Okay, now what I want to do in my life.
This is what we're learning. And okay, so this is just a quick example. Okay, so Freddy, is this square big or small?
It looks small to me.
Okay. Now, is it big or small?
The same one?
Yeah.
Still smaller because it's smaller than the one next to it.
Relative to the one next to it.
Yes.
And so now is this one big or small? In size.
That one's small compared to that one.
Right. So what you just explained was using the law of relativity. We use it wrong. So this is what we do. When we are in a position, say that first football coach, they were at a college level and they want to get to the NFL. So they got here, but he was comparing to where he's been. This was big relative to this. This was big relative to this. The other coach was saying, this is awesome, but I want this. So using the law of relativity, one guy went back here because he was focusing on, oh my God, is this going to last? I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. Oh my God, this is what I wanted, but compared to where I've been. So he was comparing his success to where he's been. The other guy was comparing his success to where he's going. So he was in a place of, this is great, but it's nothing compared to where I can go. The other guy was, this is cool, but oh my God, this is so big compared to where I was. So using the law of relativity to serve us, because there's always a next level. You always can achieve more. So wherever you're at, compare it to where you're going, not where you've been. Because if you do it to where you've been, you will always fall short, fumble up, self-sabotage, and lose it.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm. Amen to that.
Starting my YouTube channel for drawings later.
Let's go. Cooking with Carla. Let's go on the board.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we're going to have to do another episode because we didn't even crack the surface. I mean, I got books for days over here. Yes. Thank you for your time, Freddy.
Carla, thank you very much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in and watching. And just remember that you could be as great as you want to be. Just make the choices on a daily basis and do the work. And I wish everybody the best. And I wish you the best always, Carla. And I look forward to coming back on again and doing it again.
Thanks again, Freddy. That was an amazing chat. We're definitely going to have to schedule another episode. We can talk forever. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your love and support. Please share this with anybody who you think would like it. And I'll see you guys next time.